Welcome to English Biography, the channel where you learn English through the true stories of powerful people and shocking scandals. Today, we explore the rise and fall of Jérôme Kerviel, the trader whose reckless actions led to a $7 billion loss and a financial scandal that rocked the global markets. From the trading floors of Société Générale to the courtroom, Kerviel's story is one of ambition, risk, and the ultimate consequences of his actions. Let's uncover the truth behind the man who gambled with billions and changed the world of finance forever. Intro. In 2008, the world's financial markets were already teetering on the brink. But one man, Jérôme Kerviel, a name few had heard before, pushed them even further. A seemingly modest trader at one of France's most prestigious banks, Kerviel amassed unauthorized positions worth nearly 50 billion euros, more than the entire value of Société Générale. What followed was one of the largest trading scandals in history. But who was Kerviel? Was he a lone rogue, a symptom of a broken system, or a scapegoat for deeper failures? This is the extraordinary true story of ambition, deception, and accountability in modern finance. Chapter 1. Early Life in Brittany. Jérôme Kerviel was born on January 11, 1977, in Pont-l'Abbé, a quaint town nestled in the heart of Brittany, in northwest France. His parents were working class, his mother a hairdresser, and his father a blacksmith. The Kerviels lived modestly, emphasizing discipline, education, and hard work. These values would shape Jérôme's early path and mindset. As a child, Kerviel was reserved but bright. He wasn't the type to seek attention or cause trouble. He excelled in school, particularly in math, and developed a growing fascination with numbers. Unlike many of his peers, who dreamed of sports or entertainment careers, Kerviel's aspirations were pragmatic. He wanted a stable, respectable life, something better than what his small town could offer. In 1995, he left for the University of Nantes to study economics. There, he discovered the world of finance and capital markets. He was drawn not just to the theoretical aspects, but also to the real-world implications: power, influence, and opportunity. After earning his bachelor's, he pursued a master's degree in finance at Lumière University, Lyon II, graduating in 2000. Chapter 2. The Road to Société Générale. After university, Kerviel entered the competitive world of French banking. He was recruited by Société Générale, known colloquially as SocGen, one of the country's oldest and most respected financial institutions. Founded in 1864, the bank had a reputation for conservative practices and risk-averse culture. Ironically, the very opposite of what would unfold. Kerviel's first role was in the middle office, specifically the compliance department. His job was to oversee and report on the bank's trading activity. He gained a granular understanding of how traders operated, how trades were recorded, and how controls were managed. It was a role that few traders had prior to entering front office positions. That compliance background would become critical in what came next. By 2005, Kerviel was promoted to the bank's Delta One desk, a part of its equity derivatives trading division. This team dealt with arbitrage, hedging, and low-risk market-making strategies. Kerviel wasn't considered a star. He was seen as low-key, even boring. But he was diligent, calculating, and methodical. And above all, he was ambitious. Chapter 3. Breaking the Rules. In late 2005, Kerviel began to test the limits of the system. He started by placing small, unauthorized trades, bets on the direction of the stock market. He had a theory. If he covered the trades with fictitious hedges, the system wouldn't detect them. And he was right. He used knowledge from his compliance background to exploit weaknesses in SocGen's internal controls. Each unauthorized trade was masked by a fake offsetting trade. It was a delicate balancing act that required precise timing and manipulation of the bank's reporting systems. Kerviel was not stealing money. His goal was to outperform, to generate higher profits, and prove his worth. His motivations were complex, partly ego, partly ambition, and partly a misguided desire to help the bank. Initially, his trades were small, but as his confidence grew, so did the size of his bets. By 2007, he had begun executing multi-billion euro positions, still hidden through his intricate system of falsified entries. At one point, his exposure reached nearly 50 billion euros, double the bank's market value. Chapter 4. Inside Société Générale. Société Générale had always portrayed itself as a disciplined institution. But the bank's risk culture was deeply flawed. Despite numerous red flags, no one intervened. Kerviel was sometimes questioned by risk controllers, but he deflected with plausible explanations. The scale of his trades went unnoticed, or was ignored. Some insiders later suggested that management preferred not to ask too many questions, as Kerviel's division was generating strong profits. In fact, in 2007, he made 1.4 billion euros in profit for the bank. His bosses were thrilled, but never looked too closely at how it was done. Kerviel's methods were deceptive, but they were also a reflection of deeper issues within the bank: weak oversight, pressure to deliver returns, and a culture that rewarded risk while preaching caution. Chapter 5. The Discovery. In January 2008, things fell apart. Internal controls finally detected anomalies in Kerviel's trading activity. A suspicious trade set off an alert, prompting a deeper investigation. As the bank began to unwind his positions, they realized the scope of the problem. Over a frantic 3-day period, SocGen dumped billions of euros in risky positions, causing a massive disruption in European markets. By January 24th, the bank publicly disclosed a 4.9 billion euro loss, the largest ever caused by a single rogue trader. The news stunned the world. Investors panicked, regulators were outraged, politicians demanded answers. How had one man manipulated an entire institution? Chapter 6. Arrest and Trial. Kerviel was arrested just days after the scandal broke. He cooperated with authorities and maintained that his superiors were aware of his actions, or at least turned a blind eye. He didn't profit personally. There were no yachts, mansions, or offshore accounts, just a trader who had gone too far. In 2010, he went to trial in Paris. The charges: breach of trust, forgery, and unauthorized use of the bank's computers. The prosecution painted him as reckless and deceitful. The defense argued he was a scapegoat, a symptom of a broken culture. The court found him guilty. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, with 2 suspended. The most shocking part: he was ordered to repay the 4.9 billion euro loss, a sum he could never pay. Chapter 7. A divided public reaction in France was mixed. Some saw Kerviel as a financial criminal who endangered the economy. Others saw him as a tragic figure, a man crushed by a system that demanded results but refused accountability. Documentaries, interviews, and books explored every facet of the story. Kerviel's own memoir, L'Engrenage, offered a personal account of his mindset and the bank's hypocrisy. He claimed his success was celebrated until it became a liability. To many, he represented the dangers of unchecked capitalism. To others, he was simply a man who made catastrophic choices. Chapter 8. Aftermath and Redemption. Kerviel served less than 5 months in prison before being released under electronic surveillance. He later embarked on a walking pilgrimage from Rome to Paris, meeting with Pope Francis to reflect on ethics, morality, and justice. He began speaking publicly about the need for reform in the financial industry. He worked briefly as a tech consultant and wrote extensively about corporate responsibility. Chapter 9. Legal Twists. In 2014, France's highest appeals court overturned the order for Kerviel to repay the full 4.9 billion euros. The court acknowledged the bank's own deficiencies in its oversight. In 2016, a labor tribunal ruled his dismissal was without real and serious cause, awarding him compensation, though that ruling was later reversed. The legal battles continued for years, but the essence remained. How much blame should fall on the trader, and how much on the system that enabled him? Chapter 10. Lessons from the Kerviel Affair. The Kerviel scandal forced banks worldwide to re-evaluate risk management and compliance. It exposed the vulnerability of even the most established institutions to internal fraud. It also highlighted the contradictions of financial capitalism, demanding high returns while punishing the risk that generates them. Regulators introduced new controls. Internal compliance teams gained more authority. But critics argue that the fundamental incentives, profits over prudence, remain unchanged. Outro. Jérôme Kerviel didn't steal money. He didn't live lavishly. But his unchecked ambition and the failure of his institution caused billions in damage. His story is a cautionary tale for bankers, regulators, and anyone who believes the system polices itself. Thanks for watching. If you found this documentary compelling, like, share, and subscribe for more long-form biographies each day.